G'day there guys, Marky here, and welcome back to another episode of r/relationship advice. Let's go. My husband is obsessed with my boss, and it's all my fault. I started this job about 1.5 years ago. I can't say what it is because I want us to stay anonymous, and our country is very small, so my boss would probably be recognized. The moment it started, I felt like I was in the right place. My boss, the owner of the company, is very cool and kind. She's self-made and she loves her job. She does lots of the dirty work herself that bosses who had 30 to 35 employees wouldn't have to do, but she just loves it. On top of that, we have a 6-hour workday. Our salaries are 20% higher than the market, and we have 7 paid vacation weeks a year. Her reasons? She appreciates us and she's getting richer anyway. I was so proud of working with a woman like her, so I wouldn't shut up about talking about her to my husband, especially in the beginning. My husband was as fascinated by her as I am until he met her in a company party last Christmas. She must have been beautiful when she was young. She could have been a model. I think his fascination became a crush or an obsession, or maybe worse, love. Now he follows her on social media. Her accounts are private, but he stalks her with my account. He also follows the company Instagram and likes every picture she's in. He asks about her all the time. She's a very private person, but when her divorce from her ex-husband was finalized in the beginning of this year, we all found out because he started showing up to work. He owned half of her company now, and he started to try to make changes in our work hours and salaries. We found out that her husband had cheated on her with a younger girl, who he also tried to employ in our company. She still works with us. She, probably lawyers involved, eventually convinced her husband to sell her back his share. We're still in this process now. My husband has followed all of this, and he is so sad for her. And so angry. How could anyone do this when they had a woman like her? If it was him, he would cherish her, love her, blah blah blah. Who leaves a woman for a girl? I got very angry and told him that all men prefer younger women if they could choose. He laughed at me and told me that only losers do that. The last drop was last Friday. We went out for a movie night and we saw my boss with a younger man. He looked to be in his mid-20s. My husband lost it. He didn't know that she dated younger men. He wanted us to say hello, but I refused and yelled at him to control himself because he looked pathetic. When we got home, he was frenetically going through her social media until he found the guy and he sighed in relief. The guy was her nephew, and we didn't see the whole company, but they were out with other family members. My husband was so happy, like a weight lifted off of his chest. I lost it on him. I started crying and yelling and told him that he was in love with her, and he was shocked when I pushed and kicked him out of our bedroom. I locked the door. He stood outside trying to calm me down and telling me he loved me and that I'm his girl and always will be. Then he said something that ruined me even further. It's not like someone like her would look my way anyway. I haven't slept since then. Why is he feeling like this? Is it love? Infatuation? She's too old for my husband, so what is it? And why would he think that he couldn't have her? He's very handsome and still young. She should feel lucky a young, handsome man likes her. And does he mean that I'm less than her to accept him? Or is it purely her money and status? He refuses to admit anything. And what can I do now? I love this job. I love the benefits. Thanks to this job, our life has improved, and we can afford more than just the necessities. I'm starting to hate my boss though, and I hate myself for idolizing her in front of my husband. Edit. Sorry this is getting longer, but I have spoken to my mother, sister, granny, and some friends about this, and about what happened last Friday, and they think that I'm making a big deal out of nothing. And now in the comments, you know your husband is at fault here, not you and not your boss. He is acting very inappropriately, and the things he said would make me feel very insecure as well. Put the blame where it lies, at his feet, for saying and doing the things that he has to make you feel this way. I would say either attend therapy together, or even separately, or just consider a break. You need time to evaluate this situation properly, and your family isn't being very supportive by dismissing your very valid feelings. I wouldn't be asking them for advice going forward. I get they are cheaper than a therapist, but they are clearly being biased. This is not your fault. Your husband is on the hook for this one. Quote, "It's not like someone like her would look my way." It sounds like he's saying that if your boss gave him a chance and looked his way, he would probably jump at it. I understand why this is like the straw that broke the camel's back. You don't trust this as a reassurance of anything other than you are right to feel betrayed. This. Deal with husband and try not to take any of this out on your boss. She, hopefully, would most likely not look his way, not because of his age or anything else, but because he's married to her coworker. The fact he got that upset seeing her out with a guy is beyond a red flag, and I would tell him that he needs to figure out who and what he wants. Unfollow her media, do not bring her up at all, and maybe even go to couples therapy. I also know that OP likes her job, but there needs to be some distance here, whether it's a change in jobs or a strict "we don't talk about my boss" type arrangement is up for you to decide. You need to keep your phone locked. Comments that he might make would look like they're from you, plus he has already learned things about her, like it was her nephew, like that wasn't his business. What else does he know about her that she didn't release to the public? Allowing him access to your phone is putting your job at risk. OP replies, "He never comments or likes her pictures from my phone or on her private account, just the company's Instagram account. I have now deleted all of my social media." Do not have a baby with this guy. That will make it even harder to divorce this guy when you reach your breaking point over his obsession. Ditch the dude and keep the job. You're incredibly lucky to have the employer you do, and you likely won't find it again if you leave. My only takeaway is it makes me really sad you think 38 is old, and she would have been beautiful when she was young. Agree 100% as a woman in my 30s, but OP is only 26, and this is her coping. I could see a younger woman saying this. She's probably shook because she never perceived an older woman as any type of threat. And now, on to the update. I just found out that my husband, separated, is dating my boss. I don't know what to do. Hi, I'm in so much pain and I don't know what to do. I don't want to do something stupid while hurting. I got a lot of good advice last time I was here, so I don't know. Maybe you can help me this time too. So I went against my family and friends and asked my husband for separation. I felt like my heart couldn't take it anymore. My intuition told me that my husband wasn't all mine. This was shortly after the events at the movies. My husband was in total confusion. He said that I was making a mistake, making a mountain out of a molehill, but he moved in with his brother, however. We decided to start couples counseling too. It went well for the first 3 weeks or so, but my husband became more and more reluctant to participate, and sometimes he just cancelled on me last second. He stopped showing up this month, and he also stopped calling and texting me. I was even more heartbroken, but it just solidified that my intuition was right and I was doing the right thing, seeing as though he is not interested in working on us anymore. I chose not to quit my job. I still loved it with all the heartbreak, and I really needed the benefits. Like, I'm the only one who is having a 3-week paid vacation around Christmas and New Year. I never see my boss anyway, and she doesn't even know of my existence. My husband eventually stopped being active on Instagram, and I thought that it was normal because we were going through adversities, until yesterday, when his brother shared my husband's story of the night. My husband was in a restaurant holding a woman's hand. I could only see her hand. So my husband has just blocked me and my family and friends from seeing his updates. I commented, "WTF?" And this morning my husband called me, for the first time in a month, totally scared, and he started begging, "Please don't ruin this for me, please don't ruin this for me." I asked him, "What do you mean?" And he said, "Don't tell her about us." I didn't make that connection at first. It never crossed my mind even. That woman in the picture was my boss. I started crying and screaming at him. How could you do this to me? How could you tell me that this is all in my head when it's obviously all over your Instagram? He said it just happened. I dumped him and he was single and he just happened to find her on Bumble. He begged me not to ruin this for him. She knows he's in the process of divorce, but she doesn't know that he already knew who she was or that she was the boss of his soon-to-be ex. They've been seeing each other for 6 weeks. About 2 weeks after I asked him to move out, and it is getting serious. He begged for a good 5 minutes, telling me how he hasn't been this happy in all his life, and that I shouldn't ruin his happiness, since again, I was the one who ended our marriage. I have been crying since this morning. I don't know what to do. I want to ruin him and his happiness, but I don't know if I have any right to do that, and I'm so worried about losing my job. Please help. Edit for new information. Okay, my husband has been calling me non-stop, and I have now answered him. He's panicking about me telling her everything, so he begged me to give him the chance to tell her himself. His words were, I never stalked her or creeped on her. I just fell for her and was scared that she would think I was creepy since you thought the same. Give me a chance to tell her the truth in my own pace, so at least she doesn't think that I'm a liar or a freak like you seem to think. He still swears they matched on Bumble. I didn't even know what that was until now, but it's like Tinder. I'm just devastated right now. He has no regards for me and my feelings. Everything he is thinking of is not to scare her away. When I told him this, he said that I was the one who left him. People fall out of love and that's okay, and it's no one's fault, and that I was in the right for ending the relationship, but I was the one who ended it all the same. Don't hurt us, and I promise to give you everything you want. She is happy with me, so don't hurt us. In the comments, wait, so they met in the company Christmas party? Does she know he's your husband? Girl, you need to talk to her. Look, don't worry about losing your job because if they become serious, do you think that your boss will still treat you fairly? There is a high chance that he will give a different story. Update us once you talk to her. Do this for yourself and be strong. OP replies, she probably didn't recognize him because he told her that she thinks they met on Bumble. As everyone else has said, you need to tell her. You need to tell her what happened in your relationship before and how he was constantly stalking her social media and the comments he made to your face as his wife before dating her about her. You can't double guess yourself. You have a voice. I see in the comments that you're really debating it because he thinks you did it because you're bitter. Of course you were bitter. You were in a marriage with someone you loved and vindictive. Who cares? He's an effing asshole. And you're also worried about her and what she might think. Please, you have a voice. Do not stay silent. None of this is your fault. It's all on your ex-husband. I hate seeing how women lose themselves because of what might happen. Look at what your husband did to you. Really take a step back and look at what he did. He doesn't deserve anything good. If I were you, I'd have told her a long time ago. And who cares what she thinks? Personally, I would find it disgusting that a married man was actively looking for me on social media and being angry for seeing me with someone else while he's married. What she decides to do is on her, but listen to me, if you read this comment, do not hide. Also, his behavior toward the boss? That's creepy. It's just creepy. I'd want to know if some dude was stalking me to the point that it broke up his marriage. That's obsession. It is not cute, it's gross and dangerous. He's begging so bad because everything he is telling you is a lie. From the moment he saw that woman, I think he wanted her and went about doing what needed to be done to get it. You asking for the divorce is exactly what he wanted you to do, and he took the actions to make sure that you would. That way, he could be guilt-free and put it back on you that you asked for the divorce. OP replies, according to him, he would never have pursued her if we stayed together, but I left him so he was a free man. He wasn't a free man. Separation doesn't mean he's bloody single. You guys were working on the marriage and going to couples counseling, so in my honest opinion, he cheated. And now onto the final update. So I talked to my boss yesterday on Monday after lunch. I told her everything. Basically, how I was so happy that I found this job, how I looked up to her and was proud to be working for someone like her, and that this rubbed off on my husband, who grew more obsessed with her each day. I apologized for using obsessed because I didn't know how things were between them, but that it was how I perceived his feelings. I told her about the day at the movie and how it basically made me realize that our issues were greater than I thought. I told her that I know and accept that my marriage is over and that my husband didn't love me anymore, and that the reason I'm telling her now isn't to judge or blame her, but to let her know the whole story. because it's just fair that she knows that he has been following her life for over a year now. Because from what I understand from my husband, you're under the impression that you just matched with him on a dating app, I said. She was silent the whole time I was talking, just listening to me until I mentioned the dating app, and that's when she interrupted me. She said, "That's not how we met. He's been a patron at my gym for the past 6 months, maybe a year." I know her gym. It's the one across our workplace. She works out every morning before coming to work. I didn't know that he'd joined it because I knew him to be a member at the gym near our home. He has been, without telling me, working out just across the street from me every morning without telling me. She looked like how I felt, shocked. I apologized and told her that he has kept dating her a secret from me and that he begged me not to talk to her, telling me that he hasn't been this happy and so on. She didn't say much, just thanked me for telling her. Today, she asked if she could talk to me. She apologized for everything that happened and asked again if I needed any help. I said no. She thanked me again. When I got home, my husband was there. He had called me at least 50 times, but my phone was silent. He was crying, calling me bitter and vindictive and pathetic. He said I ruined his relationship and future. She is scared of him now, and it's all my fault. He wants me to tell her that he is not dangerous, nor is he a pervert. He wants me to tell her that I was the one who wanted a divorce, and that people fall out and in love, and it's nobody's fault, and neither is it creepy. He hasn't done anything wrong. He stayed faithful to me and would have stayed that way if I didn't kick him out. He asked me if I ever felt unsafe with him to make rumors about him being a stalker and a creep. I should tell the truth. I asked him to leave and that I'm starting the divorce, and from now on, he could only contact me once I got a lawyer through them. I have been crying since he left. We haven't seen each other for weeks, and he had no feelings whatsoever for me. He looked demented and full of sorrow, like a broken little boy. How could he change this fast? Before we separated, he held me and begged me to believe him and his love for me. Was it all a lie? My whole entire relationship? Good night and thank you for your support. This is a throwaway and I will be deleting it soon. I just thought that I would update you before doing that. And now in the comments, thank you for updating OP. I'm glad you got to tell your boss and that she listened to you. Now you know how much of a creep your ex is. He openly stalked her at the gym all year and your boss is quite rightly scared. I just can't believe that he would have kept all that crazy inside himself if you had stayed together. I'm concerned for you, OP. You shouldn't be living alone while your ex is behaving so desperately. Can you have a friend come stay? OP, don't answer any of his calls. Save all messages and voicemails. That man is unhinged, and you and your boss should be careful. If this behavior continues, please look into getting a restraining order. Also, please keep your boss updated and show proof of any erratic behavior so that she can take the proper steps to protect herself. When the boss said, "That's not how we met," I low-key got chills. Absolute insanity. Same. As for the ex-husband, I wonder if he'll ever realize that if you have to lie to pretty much everyone who knows about the relationship and give them all different lies, then yeah, you're probably, definitely, a creep. He won't, of course, but really. Wait, what was his plan at the movies? He has already been stalking her and is known to her at that point from the gym, so if they met, he was going to reveal to her that he's got a wife in her company and reveal to the wife that he already knew the boss from the gym. He said that he saw someone with her and immediately had to know if it was a date. No logic, just raw, uncontrollable emotions. Nah, he didn't think. His brain stopped working when the boss had been seen with another man? That's what confirms to me it must have been an accidental encounter. No way he would risk being seen with OP in the boss's presence. Oh, I believe that it was accidental, but the wife said the husband wanted to barge on over and know who the younger guy was. He probably didn't think it through and was just jealous of the boss being with another younger guy and wanted to confront her. Obviously, any normal person would realize that would result in his world of lies crumbling. but he is clearly unhinged and delusional, so I would believe that he was just acting on impulse. Our next post is titled, "Am I the Arsehole for Exposing My Parents' Favoritism?" My parents have always favored my younger brother. I was by no means unloved, but it was blatantly obvious who they cared about more. I worked a part-time job to get my first car, but my brother got one as a present. It wasn't new, but was much newer than my car. It was the same with just about anything else, like clothes, video games, and cell phones. I'm 18 and am taking a gap year before community college to work a full-time job and to save money for tuition. But a while back, I heard my parents talking about how much they were going to pay for my brother's tuition. I secretly recorded the conversation from around the corner and then came out asking my parents why they were going to pay for my brother's college but not mine. They didn't notice my phone was recording and just said that my brother needs more help. I asked how so when I wasn't getting any sort of scholarship and he likely wouldn't either. Then I asked a few more questions about why things have always been this way. They got mad, and my father told me that perhaps it's time that I moved out because they're sick of keeping a roof over my head. I pointed out I pay rent, but they didn't care. I left the room and in a fit of rage, uploaded the video to 2 different social medias I have, and I ranted about how this is how my parents have always been. Well, a few hours later, my parents were pounding at my door. My dad was screaming at me about how I made them look bad. We fought some more, and then they left the room fuming. My grandparents contacted me later and said they were appalled, and then came to visit with a lot of the family the next day. There was a huge family intervention, and my parents were made to sit on the couch and look at their feet while being told off. It was then I found out they'd been receiving money for years from my grandparents to help with family expenses. My brother looked like he didn't know what to do, so he sided with the rest of the family and said he's noticed how I'm treated as well. My parents gave me a huge apology that sounded forced. My grandparents have offered that I come live with them soon and will cut off the monthly payments to my parents. My father told me that I should have never told the rest of the family and now won't talk to me, and my mother has been crying for days. So I'm starting to wonder if I went too far. So am I the arsehole for exposing my parents' favoritism? In the comments, not the arsehole. Your parents are just pissed because people know the truth about them and they're no longer going to be receiving handouts from your grandparents. That is what they are really upset about, losing the free money. Go live with your grandparents. They sound awesome with how quickly they backed you. Not the arsehole. You didn't make them look bad, they made themselves look bad, and the rest of your family is fortunately smart enough to know that. Definitely go with the grandparents. They sound like good people. You should also check that you don't live in a place where secretly recording is illegal, like California. From the way you've described your parents, I wouldn't put it past them to go after you for damages, especially if your grandparents cut them off. Not the arsehole all the way. As someone who is cast aside because my parents favored my younger sibling over my brother and I applaud you loud and clear. Go live with your grandparents if that's what you want, or go stay with your friends. I have a feeling you're going to be just fine and excel at whatever career you choose. You didn't go too far, you conquered. In addition, you will make your family in the future. That's comforting. Quote, "Now I feel like if I move in with my grandparents, I may just be running away." Running away from what exactly? Your parents are extracting rent from you instead of helping you with college fees. Your grandparents are family too, and clearly care for you, which is more than you can say for your parents. Like damn, even the golden child noticed something was up and sided with the rest of the family. Not the arsehole OP. Go live in the safe and supportive environment you have always deserved. And now, onto the update. I decided to go ahead and call my grandparents to accept their offer to move in. During the phone call, I asked them why there was monthly payments being sent to my parents. Turns out, my parents were living beyond their means for a while because my mother quit her job to be a full-time stay-at-home mum. My grandparents decided to help out by sending them money monthly to help with my parents' mortgage, and also set aside some of that money for college savings for both my brother and I that was to be split evenly. Turns out, my parents only planned to put that savings towards my brother's college, and that was also how they bought his car as well. So from now on, my parents are now on their own financially. Likely my mother will have to go back to work to help my dad keep up the mortgage. I confronted my parents and asked why they've always treated my brother as the favorite, then asked if there was something that I needed to know. Turns out, there was nothing. Literally nothing. I'm not an affair baby, not even an unplanned pregnancy. They just liked my brother more. I was mad as hell, and we argued a lot before I left the room because I'd had enough. My grandparents showed up on Saturday with a moving truck. My parents were floored when we started bringing in boxes to pack. My father got in our way, and I reminded him how he said that I should move out, so I am. My mother cried some more and said that my father was just angry in the moment when he said that, and they had been counting on my rent money to help with my brother's college fund. I asked if that meant he would never have to pay rent like I did when he turns 18. My father then said that since I was taking a gap year to work, that my rent money could have helped my brother, which means they never intended for him to get a job while going to college. My grandpa was enraged and confronted my father, saying he raised him better than this. He chewed him out, saying he has never been more disappointed in him, and they will no longer receive any more financial support. Then said he would disown them both if they ever tried to retaliate against me for exposing them. My father backed down, and neither he nor my mother said another word to me. I had a bit of an awkward conversation with my brother as we said our goodbyes to each other. And that was it. I just got in my car, waved, and drove off. I'm now fully moved into my new room at my grandparents' house. It's a little smaller, but it's nice. My grandparents are very welcoming. I'm going to keep working hard to move forward from here, and I appreciate everyone's support. In the comments, quote, they had been counting on my rent money to help with my brother's college fund. At that point, any doubts you had should have disappeared. You were leaving forever, and their only thought is, but what about the money for us and your brother? Your parents are irredeemable assholes. Also, I really like your grandfather. OP replies, my grandpa is an incredible person. He is stern, but very nice, and I'll always be thankful for his support. I'm so glad that you got your grandparents, and please tell him that a very impressed internet stranger said I wish he would adopt me as his grandchild. My dad could use a good telling off like that. Holy hell, that was deservedly brutal. Congrats on escaping your parents, and I hope you have nothing but good things from here on out in life. I'm so sorry this happened to you. My dad's parents were just like this for absolutely no reason either. I'm glad your grandparents have helped you move in with them. Kudos to you for trying so hard to buy your own car, etc. Edit, OP should look at the comments about his credit and his parents opening it in his name. These are very important. And OP replies, thanks. It took a whole year of saving from a part-time job to afford the car, but I got a good deal on it, and it runs pretty decent. So this whole situation sucks, but there is a bright side here. You know the value of $1 and have developed a good work ethic. You know how to budget month to month, prioritize rent, and save toward big purchases. In a way, your brother is a victim of your parents too. He'll probably have a much harder time than you when he eventually needs to become self-sufficient. They are doing him a tremendous disservice by handing him everything because, as you well know, that isn't how the world works. OP replies, I agree with you there completely. Hopefully now that my parents will have to budget more and my mother will need to get a job again for the first time in nearly 20 years, my brother will see what it was like to live in my shoes. With you gone, it'll be interesting whether the favorite title and its corresponding support disappears. Your parents were counting on you to support their lifestyle and your brother's, and without that, he may have to start contributing. This is a good thing, but it'll seem harsh as he hasn't experienced this before. Your mum isn't going to be able to walk into a well-paying job after 20 years unemployed, and they needed you to afford their mortgage/living expenses. Without you there as a resource to be used, they may start to see him as one because they've done so much for him. Will they work themselves into the ground to maintain their favored child, or will their view of him change? It'll be interesting to see. And that's where I'm going to end today's episode, guys. I do hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.